I gotta say, you guys, I thought last week was the week for my team. I was so happy on Saturday night. Haas thankfully came back to the pack, looked human, low 40 score. Even May, if most people captained Haas, even if he captained May 51, I had Cleary as captain, no Haas. I had a ton of players on Sunday, and I thought, this is it. This is going to be the week. I'm going to make bulk ranks. I'll be right back in it. And it just never really happened. Sunday was it was fine. It was just lots of high 30s to 40s. Cam Munster, yeah, 55 is good. A try and couple of try assists, yeah, not quite so good. So, I was hoping for at least, one or two big ones could have pushed me up towards 900 for the week, and that would have put me, you know, uh, in a much, much better position. But, we're still going okay. Like if you look at the our trend, the Cleary debacle is just going to take a long time to recover from. We were way down 43,000 after round three. Round four, up to 32,000. Round five, 24,000. So we're making bulk ranks. We're getting back up towards the respectability marker, if nothing else. And that's all we can do, right? We plod along, we try and make the right decisions as they are in front of us and see what happens. So far after that round three, feeling pretty good about the no Haas call. Obviously that could blow up at any point when he goes massive again, but as things stand, long way to go, but we're doing okay. We're doing okay. Um, in terms of trades this week, we got a couple ideas. Got a couple ideas. We'll get to that. Um, but the main thing we wanted to talk about this week, the topic of the week, if you like, is getting towards the origin planning. So let's call it pre-origin planning because it's not time to start in full-on planning mode. Like everything we're doing is aimed towards making sure we're covered for the origin period. But it's definitely time, I think, to start at least having it in the back of your mind. Uh, and I'm seeing a lot more questions about it now coming through the private group, etc. Um, Scoot talked about it quite a bit in his video this week. Typically, I plan to talk about this. This is what happens when I'm the last video of the week. It's any interesting topics or fun things have already been covered by, by everybody by the time you get to hear from me. So, yeah, well, I've already planned to do it, so we're doing it. If it goes over some of the same topics, it's fine. But, hopefully we'll come at it a little bit more detail. Not like it's not going to spend a lot of time on it, but a little bit of detail and just, get people thinking about it if you're not, because I've got a feeling this could be quite tricky, this whole Origin thing. And the kind of meta at the start of the year was they've made it a lot easier. The 13 players in the minor buy rounds. It's, we're gonna save so many trades. It'll be we can load up on trades early and then we hardly trade through the origin period and it'll be great and it'll be easy. And I'm just not so sure. Um, one of the things we talked about last week was how much money we've got. Like how compared to last year, how expensive our teams are and how much additional money we've got. So the fact that we've got additional money means we've got a lot more guns in our team than we might normally do at this time of the year. And what's the problem with guns? Well, a lot of them play Origin, so it might be harder than we think to get teams on the pitch because if I look at my team in particular, so I've got a very basic here. Um, By planner thing. Like I'm not an artist. I have no artistic ability in my body at all. So when I do this stuff, it looks ugly as hell. I would not recommend anybody using anything like this from me. But it's just something, at least if you can understand it and visualize it, what's going on. So I've just got all the teams and their buys so I can follow along. Round 12, and I've just highlighted the teams here in, In orange, the teams that play in that first major bye round, round 12. So we've got the Knights, the Warriors, Bulldogs, Eels, Sea Eagles, Roosters, Panthers, Sharks, Dolphins, Raiders. So a lot of us have, you know, some players from those teams. But what does that actually look like from a team building point of view? So when I look at my squad as it stands before I've made any trades this week, how do I look for round 12 if I didn't make any trades? And it's not great. Um, and, might be different for other people. But I think a lot of people are going to be in this kind of similar situation where if you look at your round 12 team, like how many of these guys are you going to be happy playing if it came down to it in round 12? Or do we expect to still be playing in round 12 even? Um, something else you can do to do this on the Footy Statistics website, they have a buy planner in here. So you can you just load your team in, it'll show you who's on a buy, who's not on a buy. You can take players in or out based on whether you think they play Origin or no Origin. So this is a kind of a more, I don't know, sophisticated way, I guess, of doing it. But if we stick to my just a very basic spreadsheet, so I can play around with it a little bit, we can look at it that way. And so instantly, if we just take out first people that are on a buy and the people that are guaranteed to play Origin. So in my case, Grant, Yo, Cleary, Munster, obviously if you've got Payne Haas, etc., they'd be on that list. And then who do we have left? So I've currently got 11 players, 10 players. I can't count. 10 players who are not on a buy and who are not guaranteed to be in the Origin situation. Now let's go through them. So I've got Horsburgh in the mid. So I've got no hookers. So I've got Grant and Mamazelis are my hookers. Neither of them will be available. So number one, I need to do something about hookers. Mids, I've got one mid available, and that's Corey Horsburgh. Does he play Origin? Maybe. You know, he was talked up preseason. Ricky Shearer talked him up to be involved. Does he get involved? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, let's mark him as kind of, I don't know, orange here to say that he's not out, but can we guarantee that he's available? Matty Nicholson, is he still a player that we want to play round 12? What does his role look like when Hoskin gets back? Man, I don't know. I mean, we'll find out. Hopefully, if you look at the rest of my team, I'm hopefully he's still a worth having playable edge, but there is a chance that he's made a decent bit of cash. Those minutes go down when Hoskin gets back. Is he playable? Who knows? Like, is he somebody we want to hold? I mean, we can mark him as orange as well. Katonga, there's a few of them in this kind of bucket with Jenkins, Tamale. I mean, he's going well, fine at the moment as a cheapie. Again, are we still holding him through round 12 and through that period? I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I mean, let's give him yellow. I think there's probably going to be more problems between now and then. He's probably somebody that you just hold, and he keeps knocking out 40s, and he's kind of capped at his cash making, but not a desperate sell. So he's probably still going to be around. Luke Metcalf, I've held on to him. Last week mostly just for looping. He plays round 12. Is he somebody I want to hold for another 6 weeks to get there? Like, maybe, hopefully. I would love it if he comes out and starts, kind of looking like he's a 40s guy without tries and then becomes that, 40s guy plus upside that we kind of thought he would be at the season. And, maybe he still goes into that role, in which case, yeah, I'm more than happy just to kind of keep him um, uh, as a guy in my team and then use him through that period. So, do we give him an orange or yellow? I mean, I'm not too confident, so let's say orange. Jack Cole, I mean, he might do all right during Origin if he gets his spot back, but I mean, I'm selling him this week, so he's getting the big red card. He's not, he's gone. Toya, yeah, let's give him green. I mean, he could be a keeper just for the year. I mean, he's going well. We're going to have far more problems to than Rob Toya, I think. So provided he keeps the spot, good with him. Bradman Best, does he play Origin? Maybe. Probably needs some injuries. Like I imagine the centers will be Crichton and Latrell with Edwards at fullback. But he's maybe next. He's well, I think he is definitely next in line in terms of the centers, and maybe even if Edwards, doesn't come back firing, Latrell goes to fullback. Does he get in at center? So, I mean, I hope he's still around, but he might be gone. Let's give him a yellow. The colors don't mean nothing. And my wing fullbacks, Marju, Tamale, Jenkins, like they're all going fine. Let's just say we keep them, right? Fine, whatever. I want to have some green looking in my team. Uh, so okay, maybe out of this squad that I currently have, I've got five or six people that I'll want to play in round 12 if things work out. Maybe less, right? Maybe fewer if these guys if somebody gets injured, if other things change. So my team's not looking great, but there's plenty of time, right? Kind of. If I've got five guys, let's say, that means I'll need to make eight trades to field 13, or a good 13 come round 12. Now, between now and round 12, we get three trades from next week. We're going to have 20 trades. So now, do I want to use 20 trades between now and Origin? I don't think so. Like that's going to be that's a lot of trading. Do I want to use 16? I mean, yeah, maybe. But that maybe means 50% of my trades need to be for round 12 players. Half of my trades, let's say, and maybe even more than half of my trades if I want to save some. Like I've already banked three trades, but we're going to get into trading over the Origin period. If I don't want to trade too heavily in the lead up, then I'm going to have to make a lot of trades specifically for round 12 players as a proportion. Now, doing it too early does open you up for risk because obviously you bring somebody in, they get injured, you waste another trade. But we have to start some point, right? You can't just make eight trades in round 11 and be done. We're going to have to stagger these out. So we're going to have to start thinking whenever you make a trade, does this guy play round 12? Does he help me field 13 players in that week? Because if he doesn't, then it's just another trade added to that list that I'm going to have to make later on. Now, let's think about the type of players that you want to bring in, because this is the other problem. Like, who's out there? You know, now, if you're in the private group, Don put a really good document together that I've kind of stolen some of the thoughts behind this from. He's kind of gone in a different way. He's looking at it of the players that are available over every position. I've not gone into that much detail. We'll go into more detail and more videos as we get closer. I just wanted to kind of, I guess, look at it from the hooker in the mid perspective, like who's not available, like you know, who are we missing and where the gaps are, like who can we get in to replace them? And I've concentrated on hooker and mid just because that's where my main problems lie. And I think kind of similar to other people, other people have issues in the halves as well. Like I've possibly got a Metcalf, um, but if I sell Metcalf, I don't have any halves either. But you can concentrate on any position you want, and we'll go in more detail, more specifics later on. But let's kind of look at hookers. And this is just a list of, and it might have changed since I got these names a few days ago. Highest ownership, who's available, who's not. And I mean, it's not great reading, really. So, number one, Mambazelis. on a bye, gone. Connor Watson, he'll play Origin, gone. Owen Paddy, he's available. But do you want, if you don't have him, are you going to buy him? Would you want to play him? I mean, I guess we don't know what the role's like come round 12, but I mean, not ideally. Corey Pakes, gone. Bye. Harry Grant, gone. Origin. Now, the people who might actually be playing, Riley Smith. So this kind of stands out to me. B plays. Um, if you're looking for cheapies with the role he's getting, this looks really good to me. He's somebody that you don't mind playing, especially on a, like a, one-off or whatever. He's getting good minutes. He's cheap. Is he somebody you look to bring in if you're looking for a cheapie? The thing with him, though, the thing with him is by the time he gets to round 12, assuming his role continues and maybe even grows, builds up to 80 minutes, possibly. By the time he gets to round 12, is he going to be too expensive to buy? That's the problem. So if he looks like a good option for round 12, do we have to get him in early, like this week or next week, before that price starts to get ahead of us? Dylan Egan, I mean, he's been killing it so far. Not a lot of people have him that I've seen, but in terms of like gun hookers, is he the best one? Like, is he the best gun hooker available? Round 12, possibly. Tom Starling, he started off well. He's losing minutes. I see a lot of people looking to trade him out. And this is part of the one of the main points I kind of want to bring up here is, at what point can we afford to be selling our buy coverage players, especially if there's not a lot of great coverage available. If you're making I'm not telling people not to sell Starling if you've kind of had enough of him and some of the other guys down below as well, but he still stands out as possibly one of the better options come round 12. Appy gone on a buy. Now, the couple of guys that cover both the hooker and mid, which I start to become really, really appealing. Max Plath and Aaron Clark. Like, what does Plath's role look like? Is he going to stick at lock? Is he going to go back to the edge? What do they do with Gilbert, etc., etc.? I guess we don't really know. Does Aaron Clark's role stay improved with Dylan Walker leaving? Yeah, probably, maybe. These are a couple of guys where they're not really sexy options, but they might be people that you look at over some others because of this coverage. So yeah, Hooker, I mean, it doesn't look great, does it? I mean, Hooker in general, the spot is pretty dodgy. Like my plan with getting Harry Grant was I would just hold him through the season and sort these buy rounds out as and when they came. Do I stick with that plan the way he's going? Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely not going to sell him prior to Origin. I think he has enough pedigree that he deserves the chance. He's going to come good. He's going to score. He's going to get some 70s and 80s. It's what he does. So I'm hoping hold on and get the benefit of them. But at some point, maybe around this period, I do jump off. Connor Watson. It's been talked about a lot, but the Roosters buy schedule is pretty terrible for Origin players because they play all of the minor buy rounds or the major buy rounds, sorry, but the Origin players obviously don't. And they've got their other buys wedged in between. So for Connor Watson and any other rooster that plays Origin, you've got he's out round 10, he's back 11, out round 12, backing up 13. Watson might not be too bad depending on his minutes. Maybe if he's starting hooker for New South Wales, maybe he doesn't back up as much. But he's out 14 and 15, backs up 16, out 17, out 18. backing up 19. That's just a lot of games to miss. So um, that's why it's always been talked about those Roosters Origin guys are a bit of a disaster. But it does mean that the Roosters non-Origin guys are great. They cover all of the major buy rounds, they cover all the minor buy rounds, and these standalone ones should be fine. So we'll get into some of the Roosters guys down here. That way. Um, they could be very, 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 very useful. But yeah, hookers to finish that off. Not great. Um, Start to have a plan. My plan might be Riley Smith in the next couple of weeks. Just looking at this. But once he starts to get too expensive, it's not worth it. So probably a Riley Smith or a Plath or a Clark, perhaps. If you've got Starling, is he somebody that you're okay with holding through? Save yourself that trade. Possibly something to think about. Just getting prepared for that. If Starling was on a buy, I think it makes a fairly big difference to whether or not you sell him, in the next few weeks. But again, all this is up to you. Mids as well. Now mids have other problems, but let's just go through this because this is a bit of a nightmare. Mids by ownership, Terrell May, he's on a buy. Does he play Origin? Very likely, but buy anyway, so it doesn't matter for 12 at least. Payne Haas, gone. Isaiah Yu, gone. Hubner, one of the few cheap mids on a buy. Sorry. Connor Watson, he'll play Origin. Horsburgh, maybe. We can go back to that orange color. Might be available, hopefully available for people that have him, but maybe not. Now, some of the ones that will be Nafahu White, he's available. AFB, he's available. Tom Gilbert, does he play Origin? Possibly, depending on how he's playing. I mean, I don't know if he's playing well enough to be picked, but possibly. But again, he's one kind of similar to Starling. A lot of people are jumping off, understandably. But I mean, if he's around round 12, how many better mids are there than Tom Gilbert? I mean, we can go through the list. Seyfarth, people are jumping off him, but he's on a buy. Hamish Stewart on a buy. Fisher Harris, again, I've seen people talking about him for a few weeks of, not doing the business, wanting to sell him. I mean, I put him above Gilbert in terms of people that I want. But yeah, like, out of if you're ranking the mids available, he's going to be pretty high, right? So if you've got him, do you really want to trade him out? Pat Carrigan, gone. Hopgood, another perfect example of somebody who's being talked about a lot in terms of trading. And, again, does he play Origin? Maybe. There's a lot of these middle forwards are, competing for the same few spots. So not all of them will make it, obviously. And it's just too early to tell. But again, I think it's these considering that if Hopgood is back to playing, say 60 minutes, he's not messing around in a month's time. He's not messing around playing hooker, or he's just back to playing 60 good minutes through the middle. I mean, he's a buy in that, and if he's not in the Origin thing to me, right? Like, I mean, who else? Like, he's up there in the best mids available. Barnett, again, a lot of people jumped off him. He's going to be in, he played last year. He's going to be on in the discussions. If he doesn't make it, he's lost a lot of cash. Again, he could be a buy where, over that period. Colin Matangi, Couchman. So Couchman's a big one to me because a lot of people are jumping on him this week, and I've seen a lot of stuff and questions in the private group, and responded to a couple of them. Just kind of, one of them is a very vague, like, is Couchman a buy? And in a vacuum, yeah, sure. Like, I think he's a good buy, a really good buy. But if this is what your mids look like, can you really bring in some another mid who's not playing round 12? Like how are we going to field three middle forwards in round 12? Part of the again the meta of like, we can hold, we don't need to trade as much, we can hold our origin guys. Well, let's think about that. If we hold May, Haas, Yo, Hubner, Watson, Couchman, if you bring him in and you think he's a keeper, like where are we selling to get the playing available players in? We're going to have to sell some of them. So is Couchman the sell? Like, do you want to hold the guns and then sell Couchman? So you bring him in round 6 and you sell him round 10 or 11, pre-origin. Is that worth it? I don't know. Is And then with round 13 as well, playing the minor buy rounds, playing 13 players, it sounds easy, and it, technically is easier to field a full team, but we've got no flexibility. So if you hold May, Haas, and Yo, and then you have a Horsburgh, say, who doesn't play, and then you've got a Nat White, the Fahu White, again, Nat Butcher mixed up for some reason. Or you bring in a Fisher Harris, or you bring in somebody, you've got six mids in round 13. You can only play three of them. Like, there's no bench. So how are you going to, like, what's the point in having all these mids? That's a lot of money going to be wasted. If you're holding these guys, that's a lot of money wasted round 13, sorry, round 12. And then if you bring in good mids to replace them for round 13, well, then that's going to be a waste of money round. Okay, I could still get mixed up. Last year, it was round 13 was the first buy round, and for some reason in my head, I'm constantly going back and forward. So hopefully I'm making sense. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. I might just call them major and minor buy rounds. Um, if you get six mids for the major, holding three guns and then bringing three other players to play, then what are you doing with these six playable mids in the minor buy round, right? Are you just keeping a lot of money on your bench again? Are we maximizing the score? And this is where my thoughts have been around. Like maybe the play isn't trade as hard as you can, or not trade as hard as you can, but trade heavily early because we'll make up trades later on. Because I think we're going to be using a lot of trades here, getting these guys in and out. Like you don't want these guys sitting on your bench the whole time, especially when the replacements that you bring in can't play when they're back on these minor buy rounds. So is the play trade these guys in and out pretty heavily? Normally you would just kind of go, we'll trade them out at the start of the origin period and then maybe bring them back later on. But is there room, if you've got trades up your sleeve, is there room for flexibility to trade guys out? Like Panthers have around 11 buy and then round 12. So does that mean you can trade out a Yo and Cleary for a couple of weeks and then bring them back in? And then trade them out and then bring them back in. It's normally trades that would look horrible and feel like a waste. But if we've got them up our sleeve, that could be how, we really maximize this period. Because yeah, we might be able to. I mean, again, look at this, my team. Like if I left a lot of these guys, if I kept Jack Cole and Metcalf and whoever else, Nicholson playing 50 minutes, maybe whatever his role looks like by that point. Like, yeah, maybe we are playing 13, but it's not going to be a good 13. So we're going to need trades, and it's going to be quite difficult, I think, to maximize this period. Especially just the way it seems to have fallen. With just not having a lot of highly owned good mids and hookers, especially, but I think it covers half, in some of the other positions as well. We're going to have to trade pretty heavily up to here just to get a team out. And then from then on, we'll get into that more detail later on. But yeah, round 12 seems hard. And that's a problem. Like I remember last year, it was the first minor buy round that was the problem. Having to play 17, where I think it was the Raiders, the Roosters, I can't remember. There's a couple of pretty popular teams. So getting 17 on the park that week was difficult. But round the first major buy round, I don't remember having any problems. But I think that's possibly because we just weren't as stacked. Like we didn't have all these Origin guys that we had to worry about yet. Yeah, we had, you maybe had one of your pass. You had one of Cleary or Hines. Now we've got a lot of guys that are end of season players, and it's great for our scoring, and you can see that when we compared team value and scoring this year to last year, it's so far advanced. But I think this is going to start being a problem, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to bring it up to just get people thinking about it. You know, does Couchman make sense as a trade in? Absolutely. Does he make sense as a trade in with your team set up and with what you've got ready for round 12? Yeah, I don't know. Like you'd have to look at it and you have to think about it, but it would worry me. Like it would worry me bringing him into my team. If he plays right, if the Dragons played round 12, he's amazing buy. Get him in. As it stands, I don't know. Like I think you possibly have to look elsewhere. But again, that's just me. Maybe I'm being a bit of a panic merchant. Maybe it's all going to come into place and it'll all make sense and we'll all be flying come that period. But yeah, you gotta start thinking about it. So that's why people like, Fogarty are being talked about, again, half could be a tough position come round 12. Well, he plays it. So great. If he didn't play round 12, is he still a good buy? Yeah, definitely. As good a buy? I'm not sure. Um, so hopefully that was at least useful in terms of getting you to think about things. Like I said, it's not completely panic time to start making these trades right now. And to kind of prove that, I think my trades this week are going to be basically the complete opposite of everything I've talked about, completely ignoring what I spoke about. And my current plan, and obviously subject to change, is trading out Jack Cole, my round 12 half for Dylan Egan. I think he's pretty much a must have at this point. If he played round 12 and had middle eligibility, there he'd be like 100% slam dunk buy-in. Maybe he's only 95% without that. And my replacement for old Humphreys, the big man, Latrell. This is the absolute type of move that I generally would not recommend to people. Number one, because of all I talked about. Like he'll be in Origin, even if some for some reason he doesn't play Origin, they're on a bye that week. So it doesn't do me any good whatsoever for bye planning. He's just back from injury. He's expensive. He has money to lose, probably. He's in a position where we don't really know how he'll go. Like there's no, I mean, if you watch my videos before, you'll see I put a kind of a lot of stock into what's happened previously and kind of use that to um how I predict they go in future. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Latrell at 6, yeah, I don't know. Don't know how he'll go. But I just want to see it. Like, I just want to be part of it. I think he could go huge. Like, he's going to kick the ball a ton. He's going to have his hands on the ball all the time. I think the entire game plan is pretty much going to come through him. He'll try and do everything himself. He just has huge upside potential. And given my position, 24,000 or whatever, like I want to take a punt. Like I've been part of my problem, I think, has been relatively safe. And the safe picks I've made have just been boring and average. Cam Munster, I thought was an extremely safe, good value pick at 600k, and he's just been a bit meh. You know, I haven't jumped on White or Wong because again, it was always, oh, we don't know what their minutes are going to look like. And, I've never really had, even though I've done badly, it's been a weird season, very few, must sells at any point. And like I said, I give people a lot of chances to kind of recover to my benefit sometimes, detriment other times. So like doing that means I haven't had a Wong because, oh, well, by the time they're full strength, what their minutes going to look like. And I've, missed, maybe not entirely missed the boat. They're not ungettable at this point, but quite a lot missed the boat. So I've missed a ton of value there, if nothing else, and some really good scores. So I want to take a punt of some description, and Latrell could be the punt. Like he could be, he could get 100 this week, and I don't think anybody would be surprised. He could also get another 40. Like it's the way it is. We don't really know what he's going to get. You know, I'm hoping he kind of has that Humphreys base with kicking, and I'm not quite sure well, I'm pretty sure he won't tackle as Humphreys did, but there could still be a very high base there. And then if he pops off with some big plays, yeah, it could go well. So that's my current plan. Flies against everything I just said in terms of planning for Origin. I think getting in a Fogarty is by far the safer play and probably the better play. But in my position, I don't know if I want a safe play. Like Fogarty will get you 50, 55, maybe 60. Like he's the Isaiah Yo of halves. He'll just get you that really high base, that really high floor, and you're happy. But doesn't have and I don't I tempt fate here as he'll score a try this week, but he doesn't have that big upside. So that's what I want this week. I want the trail. I want the upside. I want the 100 points. Let's go. The other thing as well, why I'm bringing him in this week is when we talk about buy planning, like he becomes a really hard person to get in the next few. If you don't get him in the next couple of weeks, he becomes quite hard to get, right? With Origin. So it might give if people don't get him this week, if they don't get him next week, then there could be a lot of the people that I'm trying to catch just don't have him until round, 20 onwards. So that even if he doesn't go gangbusters this week, at some point he'll move back to fullback. At some point he'll have some huge scores. And if I'm on him now, and other people just generally kind of don't jump on him because, like I said, very, very quickly, almost all of our trades are going to be round 12 guys, mids and edges, halves, hookers. So it could be somebody, if you don't jump on early, he just slips through. Uh, and I want to jump on. So that is my plans for the week. Now, I forgot to set a timer. I usually set a timer on this so I get an idea of how long I've been waffling on for. I always go on far too long. I'm probably up over half an hour, as a guess. Uh, let's run through some questions just to pass a little bit of time. I haven't answered a lot of these. I normally answer them on YouTube. I might go through afterwards if hopefully people watch the videos so you can see answers. But a lot of the answers are a lot of the questions are ones that I just don't like answering anyway. Like, should I do this trade? Is this guy a sell? Is this guy a buy? It's like, yeah, sure. It's your team, do what you want. Is it safe to play Jenkins over Sandon and Purdue? Yep. Like I have no idea what to do with my bench. I just have this whole squad of, you know, 40 scorers and you can order them in any way and maybe one pops off and gets a 50 plus and maybe one does badly and gets a 30. But yeah, there's going to be an awful lot of, especially with no looping this week, there's going to be an awful lot of yeah, just kind of very similar players taking a guess and hoping for the best. James Sutton worth a look. Yeah, like I mean, he's obviously so cheap. He could be like it's like the ones I talked about taking a punt and missing out on the Wongs and the Whites and some of the other guys. Like he could absolutely. kill it, you know, relatively speaking. I don't think he'll score 55. I think Latrell will just take over so much that he probably doesn't have quite a high ceiling. Also, Lewis Dodd, at some point you'd think he has to get a crack. So would he have played, would Dodd have played this week without the suspension? I guess we don't know. But, you know, yeah, Humphreys is out, but yeah, how long does Sullivan have? I don't know. But at that price, like you can't really go wrong other than wasting a trade. Who you score better? Like again, like who knows? Who knows? Um, selling Cole and Humphreys for Cleary. Yep, okay, Cleary and neither one of those two. Well, look, like I talked earlier, I don't. I'd say Plath is a better buy for 12 coverage, if nothing else. But we don't know what his role is going to be like. So, meh, it's up to you. We don't know. It's the answer. You should have captain. I'm captaining Cleary. It's up to you. Egan or Jenkins. I mean, again, these ones, they're all good for different reasons. Jenkins is a bit more expensive. Have we missed the boat on him? I don't think so. Well, no, we haven't. But Egan's probably more of a must at his price. Yeah, you can get any of them. Like Wong. I think Wong's borderline for me, going up 80K. Like he's priced at 45. Like, can he be a 55 guy? Like, is he a keeper? Like, is he a keeper edge, which is kind of what you're looking to buy now at that price? Maybe. We just never know what the Roosters like. There's never a fully fit firing Roosters hack to know what his true minutes are. If he's a 65-minute guy, I don't think it's worth it. If it's an 80-minute guy, then yeah, he probably is worth it. What do you think he is? Um, Fafida, Nicholson, I don't think you can buy now until we know what's going on. He's made his cash. Hold him until we get to we get Hosking back, and then we see how it shakes out. And Dave Fafita, like at some point, everybody will get him. Like he is getting cheap, and yeah, he will explode at some point for a huge game, and people that have jumped on will be very very happy. Um, the trades, yeah, I'm sure they're all fine. Humphreys to Young, Cole to Kant, yeah, yeah. I mean Kant as well. How long does he have? How long does he have the role for? If you got him last week, you're really happy with his results. How long does he keep the role for? Does he get a different role? Talk of him playing in the middle. So yeah, if you want to jump on, that's fine. He Newcastle do play round 12, but is he in the team? Is kind of the question there. Sharper Fogs a bit. I mean, it's up to you. Fogs is definitely safer. Sharp doesn't have that floor. Like I talked about Sharp last week. Still not convinced. Again, the game it was a much closer to like an average game. I think for him last week, that 30 odd. Like neither there's going to be games where he gets shut down and he just doesn't have the base of like a Fogarty. He maybe has the upside over Fogarty, but he doesn't have that 50 base that Fox has. He has like a 30 odd base, or maybe even 20 odd base but that game last week, sometimes when somebody gets 30, you're like, oh, 35, that's an outlier. This didn't seem like an outlier game. It was more just this is what you'll get on the lower end. And if you're happy with that to offset the games where he'll score a try and get up 60, 70s, then that's totally fine. Up to you. Um, KPP, the outcome he's not, well, if you're really high on him, then get him. you know, like just because people don't talk about him, other people don't talk about him doesn't mean he's not worth getting. He's probably in that discussion a bit with Kant, where like, if Kant keeps going really well, what are the other edges roles? Like, is it still going to be Lucas KPP for 80 and then Kant plays in the middle? Or, is it going to be KPP plays 60 and Kant plays some on the edge and some in the middle, whatever? I don't know, it's probably a bit up in the air. And I just don't think he's at his price. I had a quick look at him beforehand. Yeah, he's priced at 45. He's averaging 48. this year. Like last year, he averaged 48. Like, is it a few points of value? Yeah, probably. But I don't know, awkward price for me again. You're wanting to get people that you can see being keepers, bringing in that price level, and yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he is. Poirier, Hines, Dillon, Egan, or Jenkins, whichever you prefer, mate. Um, Humphries for Latrell. Yay! Go for it. Go Latrell. You're going the opposite side. If you're doing well, then Latrell could be that kicker to take you further up, and or if you're lagging behind like me, he could be a rocket ship back towards relatively. Rel I don't know what word I was looking for then. I think I've talked too long. My brain has turned to mush. So yeah, let's call it. Let's call it. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good week, and yeah, go Latrell.